David Jenkins is posting hearts and unicorns and sharing his own Our Flag Means Death fanfiction on Bluesky. What does it mean? Vico is part of a daily gay podcast, and Rhys Darby is up to something I tell you. These headlines and more ahead on the Gay Pirate News Hour from the Our Flag Means Fanfiction podcast. January 4th, 2024, and this is the Gay Pirate News Hour from the Our Flag Means Fanfiction podcast. Joining me today is Andrea, a super fan of OFMD from Long Beach, who was brought back to the fanfiction by this show after a 20-year break. Hi, Andrea. Welcome back.
Hello. Happy to be here.
And also on the show is Rue. And Rue, you are from Nevada. We met in person at the Warner Brothers festivities that we had.
Yeah.
And that was a whole lot of fun. You're Ya Filthy Nerds on Instagram.
Yeah, you filthy nerds.
Yes. And you were on which podcast? The Lucius episode that we did? Were you on that one?
I was on the Ricky episode, and then I did like one of the mini fic.
Yes, you did a mini-sode. You read a fic that was it the lemonade stand one? No, it was the flower shop.
It was the flower shop one, yeah.
It was the flower shop. Excellent, yeah. So you guys check that out. And Ringa is back on the podcast.
Hello.
Yeah, you're always a delight. You're a con super fan.
I'm such a delight.
And you're the scum of the fandom.
I am. I'm the scum of the fandom and proud of it.
We have a few people making comments in the chat already. We have little old me saying hi. Ringa, you're there in the chat also saying hi, friends. Noon Wick Knox is saying hi. And Mr. Buttons is saying happy 2025.
Mr. Buttons.
And Beans is here.
I love Beans.
Fellow here.
Sweet baby.
Hi, Beans.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Beans. Hi, Beans. Hello, Beans. Meow. Meow.
You guys, all of us who brought you the Our Flag Means Fanfiction podcast also are bringing you Haunted Hollywood Hour, which is our new podcast. It's not new anymore. We have 13 episodes that drops every Thursday. And you definitely want to check out the one that dropped a few days ago because we tell you about a poor farm in LA. Ringa, you know about poor farms because your like workplace is on a haunted poor farm. But this LA poor farm, the superintendent who managed it was like Steed Bonnet coated to the max. And it's such a wholesome story. And he is such a wholesome man. And this would make a great movie. So definitely check out that episode. And next week, we're having another Our Flag person on telling us about the Haunted Bijou Theater in Tennessee. And we're also going to talk about the Magic Castle in LA and the connection between the Bijou in Tennessee and the Magic Castle in LA. And it's going to be a good, fun time. But back to the fandom news, I want to kick things off starting with David Jenkins' Instagram post. Have you guys, I put it in the chat so we can all look at it again, where David Jenkins is with his wife, Kinga, and they both have the moisturizing masks on. And David Jenkins posts 2025 might just be a great year too. Heart face emoji, purple heart emoji, unicorn emoji. Thoughts?
I don't know. He's making me crazy.
Let's bring up
that's the theme of David Jenkins right now is he's making me crazy. Like I want to get my clown nose out and I want to put it on. And then I keep thinking, is it time yet? Is it time now?
I have no clown noses about my person, and I think he is just happy that he has a baby and is posting nice sentiments for the new year, so you all can clown for me.
We have to give the context, though, of the moisturizing mask. It's going to be a great year, New Year's David Jenkins post, because he posted that last year at New Year's in 2024, and who remembers what happened with that?
We created a wonderful fandom and cried a lot and laughed a lot.
Well, I mean, the show was canceled shortly after that.
Right. That's what I mean. We made it a lovely fandom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like thinking, like, wait, it was a year ago.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was a year
ago. It was just about a year ago.
And it was it was like, things are going to be great. We're going to get a season 3. Everyone was hopeful. And he posted that because he was like, this is going to be a great year. And then what was it, like a week later? Like,
I think it was less than, yeah. 'Cause I think it was in the first week of the year that they announced.
It was early in January because then we had Lube as a Crew, like really close after. And then we had like the billboard and stuff all happened in January. And it was like massively impressive for this fandom and like for any fandom. I've been in fandom forever and I've never seen anything like this still. So yeah, that was a lot, and it was a whole year ago, but it is, this show is still making news like every week. And not just because of like the actors doing new things. This show and stuff about the fandom are still in the news constantly a year after being canceled.
I just gotta say, I
new viewers all the time as well.
Yeah. I just gotta say though, I love how we use Lube as a Crew as a historical marker.
I mean,
like, you know, some societies would be like, oh, the Great War between the border states, where like Lube as a Crew happened in January.
I don't know how you could not include it in our history.
I mean, it's significant. And also it happened very close to my birthday. So that's why I remember it. But it was just very fitting of all the like corporate brands for us to latch onto. That was
100%.
Very, very fitting.
Good time.
Yeah.
But so let me ask this question. So when he posted that last year, did he know at that point that the show was canceled? No, right? And if I recall correctly, and I'm not a historian of any kind, but they had gotten so far that they were starting to actually get ready to film the third season, right?
Yeah, they were like casting and stuff like that. Yeah,
I thought that they said the scripts had been written.
Yes.
Which kind of ties into some of the David Jenkins Blue Sky stuff that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So maybe me being a full idiot, bringing it back, because now there actually is a possibility, like he thought there was around this time last year.
Potentially, but I also think that if there was actually buzz going on kind of behind the scenes, we'd be getting something a little bit more coy. I don't feel like this message was necessarily coy. It wasn't like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the fandom. It was like 2025 is going to be a good year. And then a picture of like him and his wife and him and his and his new baby. So I don't know. That's why I'm like, oh, like, yes, the unicorn emoji, but maybe just because like
he just does that to fuck with us. Yeah. He likes to tease. They all like to tease.
That's true.
Yeah, but is unicorn emoji like hint, hint, the revenge is coming back somehow?
I feel like that's...
she says as she reaches for her clown nose.
I would love to believe that that's true, but I do believe that that's also a stretch.
It's just, he knows how insane we are, right? And there's thousands of emojis one could use to express that you hope the new year is magical.
Confetti.
You know? So it feels intentional, but what is the intention? Maybe just to keep us talking. The intention might not be to tell us anything in particular.
And he hasn't said it's just a unicorn emoji like he did with the goose.
It could also just be, 2025 is going to be a good year for me personally, but also I hope that it's good for like the crew, meaning like the overall fandom. So maybe that was his way of like bringing us into like knowing that we were being addressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah. Okay. So on a scale of 1, it was just a nice post about him and his family, to 10, it was a sign that season 3 is on the horizon. Where are you on the scale, everyone? Andrea. Okay. We know Ringa's a 1. It's just a nice post of him and his family.
I'm going to say 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to say like a 3.
I'll just be the most insane one. I'll be like, it's 50-50. It could be either way. Yeah. So I'll say 5. Check out this in the chat. Little old me posts. I didn't find OFMD on iPlayer until February of 2024. I binge watched it in a few days without knowing it had already been canceled. Oh my God. I can't imagine being in your reality. Mr. Button says, I thought the scripts hadn't been written. If they were, maybe they may be property of Warner Brothers.
Possibly.
I mean, I assume you're going into pre-production. The scripts, at least for the first couple episodes, have been written and greenlit.
I think that they had said something about at least partially, like there was some things partially written.
Yeah.
Which is why it's interesting that he's doing so much fanfic writing, whatever is going on over there. I'm interested in it. If it's stuff he really wanted to happen in season 3, it's bad that he's posting this. Okay.
I don't think he would be allowed to post if it was.
Well, I mean, the show's canceled. He can do whatever he wants. So if it's stuff that he really, because he's going into detail here, but I have to feel like this isn't where he was going to go. It's just because it's not like a tidbit. He's going full on script from beginning, like details all the way through. He's doing.
Okay, so let's actually take things back a little bit and talk about, for anyone who doesn't know what has happened on Blue Sky. On Christmas Day, David Jenkins started, I guess it's called skeeting out some fan fiction on Blue Sky that he had penned. And this is sort of feels like a Christmas episode of Our Flag Means Death, set after season 2 has ended. And do you guys want to give your summary? Who wants to kind of give their summary of what David Jenkins fan fiction is?
So
go ahead, Ringo. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm like, I probably am not the one to do this, but what I really like.
You.
Okay, so it didn't even seem to me like a Christmas episode. It seemed like this is episode 1 of season 3. We're finding out where everybody's been. We're catching up with what's going on with the crew on the Revenge, including Jim, who is like dressing a lot like Izzy now and is the first mate. And then we are cutting back and forth between what's happening on the Revenge with what's happening at the inn, which has now been 2 years since season 2 ended. And they spent a year fixing it up and now have been open for like about a year. And it's becoming a very popular place. I don't think that Steed and Ed could fix that place up themselves given a year, but that's just me being negative. So what I really liked about what was happening there.
Okay, but we have to say that David Jenkins has never been one for timelines.
No.
Realistic or any sort of realism.
It's true. These guys can't. Come on. But regardless of all that, that is, what I really liked was that it is not like a picture perfect fairy tale romance going on here.
And this is what David Jenkins has hinted at in the past.
Yeah.
This would be about how do you build a relationship with someone after the initial love has worn off.
The girls are fighting. Ed is jealous, which I love. I love a jealous Ed.
Because we get to say his name, Applejack.
Applejack.
I saw people post Applejack, and I thought people were talking about the pony.
But this is what I love about David Jenkins. He puts in like 2 lines of this new character, Applejack, and we're like, we love Applejack so much.
I love that there is a character like to put in there to make Ed jealous. This is delicious. So,
yes, so good.
So Steed is mad at Ed because Ed's not doing any work. That's so accurate. That is so Ed. He just wants to like flirt with people and hang out.
Folding the linen.
Yeah.
He's very into taking,
and
and then storytelling, his 2 favorite things, table linens and storytelling.
And he's like going on about the pirate stuff, and Steed's all like, oh, that's right. Everyone's been coming to the inn because they're all these stories about, their piracy and stuff. And I'm like, but you're wanted by the British and also a lot of other people. So why
are you telling people?
Why are you telling people this? But regardless of all that, I just love a jealous Ed and a frustrated Steed. Let them bicker, because this is what we see. We see in season 2, what I didn't understand about Ed and Steed's ending there is that we see Anne and Mary and what happens when they retire. And then they end the series by, okay, well, we're going to do that. No, it's not going to work.
Well, without diving too deep into a bunch of things about the show, but I took it as like Anne and Mary are what happens if you don't communicate, if you don't tell your partner how you really feel, if you don't express to them, like, I'm feeling stuck, I don't know how to relate to you, you know, all these things, like, you have to talk about it. And if you don't, you end up in this resentment place. So I as a gentle beard girly, I took it as like a hopeful thing. Like, well, they've seen what happens if you don't communicate. You know, let's see with that knowledge what happens. And now we've seen, or at least we've seen in this potential fan fiction, that they aren't doing great. They have fallen into the same traps they've seen their friends fall into.
They are another thing that we have had repeated at us in season 2 is they're both whim prone. And that you're taking two very whim-prone, fantastical people and plotting them in one spot, never to move again on an island and leaving them there forever. That doesn't work. That doesn't work to me.
Yeah, and I think that David had said something about this in the past that, like, Steed isn't going to be able to do all of the things. So I think he had said something about how Steed and Ed were particularly bad at, or were going to be particularly bad at, like, trying to keep an inn going. And I could see for a short period of time, sure, like, you know, this is kind of their focus for a little while. But what I really liked about the Blue Sky little mini arc that David gave us is that Ed goes to, like, the backyard or to the front yard, and he's just kind of sitting and talking to Izzy. And then we hear, like, a line from Izzy saying, like, I can't remember exactly the line, but it was something like, you wouldn't know happiness if it bit you on the nose or something to that.
You didn't even know what
you didn't even know what return.
No, I read it and took notes an hour ago, like a very normal person would do.
Thank you for keeping me honest. So he, like, has this conversation with the ghost of Izzy, and it's just, I don't know, there was something really beautiful about that, because I remember when, spoilers, when Izzy died, it was so heartbreaking for me. Like, I was more depressed about Izzy than I was about the show being canceled. Like, it was devastating for me. So when David initially, like, put out on Twitter saying, like, don't worry, this is not the last you're going to see of Con O'Neill, I was like, okay, that makes it a little bit better. And I kind of liked that, like, we saw echoes of that in the little, like, vignette.
Ringa is having a lot of thoughts and feelings.
We are all waiting for Ringa to...
I know. I just, like, I'm like, what?
If anyone's going to talk about Izzy, it's going to be you. Go for it.
I personally think if we continue with David Jenkins' plot, I think we're going to see a corporeal Izzy. Is that, like, the right word?
Yeah.
We're going to see a solid Izzy. Like, I think magic exists in this world. I think Izzy can come back. I would have preferred hands reaching up out of the grave and Izzy not being dead at all. But I do think
that's not out of the realm of possibilities, because I think that whatever is going on here at this inn is going to be frustrating enough to rise Izzy from the dead, so that he can come and fix it himself.
I love that. Izzy would. 2 years
after the bird.
He's not the type that can sit idly by and watch as something is being done wrong. And they have forced him to be sitting there watching as things are being done wrong. No.
Yeah.
No.
Imagine how many times Ed has gone out there and just bitched.
Oh, yeah.
Just sit there and listen.
And I'm sure that Steed has as well. And because there's nobody but them there. They're by themselves, stuck there with Applejack, apparently. And
we love.
Yeah. I think that
Played by Kevin Bacon.
Played by Kevin Bacon.
Which is so weird to me. But
yeah,
I feel like them both, oh man, there's so much that can be done here. There's so much that can happen. I think Izzy hates Applejack. Let's just put that out there.
Really? What if he didn't, though?
No.
What if he did?
Applejack?
What if Izzy and Applejack? What if Izzy's like, I like this guy. I like this guy, Applejack, more than I like Ed.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But you know, at the moment, because Izzy's so annoyed with Ed, he's like,
Izzy is annoyed with Ed, but he also he's not going to like that Steed is flustered by Applejack. He's, this is.
Do you think he's like that towards Steed? Like,
yes. Have you
really?
seen season 2?
Well, no, I mean, but okay, I don't.
Did you listen to the Stizzy episode?
Yes, I see sexual attraction between Izzy and Steed. I don't see covetousness. I don't see possessiveness.
No, it's not possessiveness of Steed. It's what are you doing? You have Ed, and now you're looking at this other guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Like you got the person that I wanted to be with. And now you're like,
looking at,
and you will not betray him.
And you know what? I bet that it's not even like, I was thinking about this and I was like, yes, it would be really funny if Steed was flustered by how attractive Applejack is. But I think it's even funnier if that's what Ed thinks is happening. But actually the reason that Steed is nervous around Applejack is for some completely different reason. Like, oh, I know Applejack from Barbados. Like we actually do know each other. And I'm afraid that he's going to, give us away to the British or something. Or
that's interesting. I like that. But I am a big fan of, like, Steve just had his gay awakening.
Yes, he needs to sleep around and get banged.
Not even necessarily if he does sleep around. I just think he's got eyes and he's stuck in this like shack with only Ed, and he's gonna look when someone comes in, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Ed is like, what? No, I'm the princess. Put your eyes on me only.
Ed is the princess.
Ed is the princess.
But I think you also think about like a working dynamic as well, right? Like when you have like your work husband or your work wife, like the person that you can rely on who actually gets things done for you, like you feel affection towards that person, and it can feel at times like confusing or whatever. So it could be that kind of dynamic, right? Where Steeds can perceive Applejack as if he's Kevin Bacon, he's a little cutie, right? And he's helpful and actually doing things that Ed is not doing to keep the business afloat. Right. And so now that's like his work husband.
But we also didn't get really much of what is Applejack doing himself. Like we see he comes in and takes over whatever needs to be done and stuff. But does he wink at Steed on his way out the door? Does he like bend over very deliberately to pick up a napkin? What is he doing?
He doesn't do any of that stuff. I like to think that he's just as clueless as Steed normally is.
Could be.
I love a himbo, so I want every opportunity to have like a dumb hunk.
He could be doing that and not meaning it to be flirty too. He could literally just
he's doing it
be picking up a napkin, and Steve's like, "Oh my," and Ed's like, little fumes are coming out of his like head and ears, But
what I love about this is that Blue Sky is a lot like Twitter, where we're not getting a lot of words, right? Like we're getting a thread, but it's not like this is prose. This isn't a novel. We've gotten, just
like a couple of,
right. And even with just this, we have enough to know, like to build so much. Like there are just so many possibilities. Like I could foresee, for example, that this whole thing with Applejack, however Applejack is actually acting, that could be the catalyst for conversations between Ed and Steed later on about like, possession and work ethic and being equal partners and all of that. Like all of these little conversations that could help equalize the relationship over the course of the long term. And I mean, it really does say to me like how great David is at setting up these kinds of character arcs.
Yeah.
We just barely got this man's name, and we've got so much that we can extrapolate
from. And you have to remember too that even though Steed has had his little gay awakening, he didn't know he was in love with Ed. He, in the Jack episode, is like madly, insanely jealous and doesn't realize he is, when he's like watching them on the beach. Like, it's very possible that he finds Applejack attractive in whatever way, and it doesn't have to be like a whole big thing. It could be pretty innocent and has no idea that that's what he's thinking. Like, but Ed sees it.
Yeah.
Right.
And Steed is famously bad at introspection.
He's the himbo. Like,
it really is. He doesn't even know that he's a bad pirate captain, and we love him.
I love that the writing is so grounded in reality and like the reality of what these relationships would look like. I feel like in a lot of the fanfics that I read, and I read them because I want like fluff, comfort, just pure gentle beard goodness, like that's what I want to read. But that also, those conversations typically are not very realistic of what an actual couple talks like, right? And this is 100% what the relationship looks like. And one of the things that I really loved, even though it like made me sad, was when Steed was saying like, oh, we still have to add the bait shop. And Ed's like, what are you talking about? What bait shop?
Oh,
like,
he didn't even remember the bait shop.
Right. And like this meant so Steed and Ed already forgot it. And I was like, damn, I have been there myself so many times where I'm talking to someone about something that like this meant so much to me. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, that's so real.
Because Steed is honoring and remembering something that Ed brought up. And he's like, I remembered that you would want this. And I think Ed probably would, but he's so whim prone that he was just like in the moment. He's just of course I'm going to have he's just going to kind of like riff off of himself in this like fantasy, because it's like, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want.
And that is what Steed is complaining to Izzy about, is that Ed doesn't remember the bait shop. And
I love, though, that Steed did all of this because this was Ed's dream, like the bait shop, the inn and everything. And that maybe Steed has even convinced himself he wants this because he wants to make Ed happy. And he's like so dedicated to really focusing on making the inn work, really as a way to make Ed happy. But he hasn't focused on the relationship with Ed to make Ed happy. Like he's focused on the thing, not the emotion.
And that sounds a lot like Steed, even in his relationship with Mary, where he's like, oh yeah, these external things are going to make us happy. So we've got the kids, we've got like all the stuff in the house. We're going to have the boat. We're going to live on the boat. But he's never like taken the time or the energy to like ask Mary, like, are you okay? Are you happy? What do you want? And he may be kind of falling back into that rut just a little bit, even though like overall this relationship is so much better for him than what he had with Mary.
And it sounds like this hotel inn has gotten very popular very quickly, and it is still just the two of them running it. Although we have Applejack to do whatever odds and ends.
Where does Applejack sleep?
Where does Applejack sleep?
Stables? I don't know.
I literally thought in the stable.
Whatever the answer is.
No, he probably does sleep in the stable. But like, so it's three of them at most. But honestly, anything Applejack is doing is stuff that Ed should be doing probably. So, you know, it's really like two people running this place. And that doesn't leave any time for, you know, having relationship stuff. And also, I think both of them think that this fairy tale romance they have is going to be magical and perfect without having to work on it. And that is not how things work, which is why I am glad, you know, to see David writing conflict here. I don't want them to have like it's magical happy ever after, because that's not how these two work. And that's not like, you know, the things that have happened with relationships in this show have worked well because it's things that we can all relate to and we can see ourselves in, and having them like they're off in this inn and everything's great and that's the end. That doesn't work.
Mr. Button says, I love the work husband idea.
Yeah.
And I love the potential for when Calico Jack comes back, because we know he's going to make an appearance in season 3. And once the Apple Calico Jack dynamic.
If Izzy shows up as a ghost, Calico Jack could show up as a ghost, and they could both just terrorize the whole place.
We already had badminton.
Right.
No reason we couldn't have everyone else.
I feel like it's going to go that way for Izzy, although I would much rather him literally come back to life. But I do think we're going to see, and I can get behind that as long as it's him talking with both Ed and Steed and not just like one of them. I want him to help and or terrorize both of them equally.
I keep on going back to, what if Applejack was played by Will Arnett?
What if he was just Calico Jack, but with a bigger mustache on top of his other mustache?
No, because Applejack is no mustache.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I missed that.
Short hair.
About that. So it's just Calico Jack, but he's shaved.
Yeah.
He's shaved. Oh, that's hysterical.
Do you think that's what he's going
that's why
for?
He's so nervous.
Do you think that's what David is going for with the like fake Jack name?
Oh,
Yes!
I
there's
don't think
'cause
so.
Calico
but
Jack-
it's very funny.
Calico Jack was the thing that made Steed jealous.
Right,
And Apple
and-
Jack is the thing that makes Ed jealous.
Okay, so what if it's Calico Jack, but he got like amnesia from the cannonball hitting him?
Yeah.
Right? And so he doesn't remember he was
Oh my
Calico Jack, which is why he's now Apple Jack.
Oh my God.
But then how come Ed
attracted
doesn't
to him.
recognize him?
Andrea, that's
Ed's
the
also a
best
himbo.
idea.
And Steed is like attracted to him now that there's no mustache, but also is weirdly uncomfortable by him, but he can't figure out why.
Oh my God,
Why do I
this
hate him on
explains
sight,
so
but
many
also love him?
things.
This is so funny. I love the idea that these two are such idiots that they would not recognize a man without his mustache.
And Izzy's
He's
He's
probably
like,
right.
what are you doing?
Izzy's like, that's fucking Calico Jack. What is wrong with
Oh
you?
my God, you guys, but I love Calico Jack has amnesia and he is Applejack. And
That's
he's
really funny.
he's wearing different clothes and he's short hair and he's
And
shaved.
he's not saying
he's
things
just
like
escaped
whippy.
from, like,
he's
Yeah,
like
whippy,
just
speaking
speaking
with
normal.
horses.
or like the nuns that were taking care of him.
Yeah.
And that's how he ended up there. And that's why Steed's a little awkward. And oh my God, you guys, this is it's so good. It's so good. Will Arnett, what is your schedule like?
What are you up to? Can I ask a question that might be controversial, and I'll be outnumbered because everyone else here loves Izzy the most, right? And I love Izzy a normal amount, but you all love Izzy like way, way more. Can I ask a controversial question?
I'm ready for it.
Go for it.
Okay. My controversial question is, Ed says that when he brought about Izzy's death and did horrible things to him, it was to one of the people who unconditionally loved him. I found that perplexing. I'll stop there.
What? No, what? You have to continue. What about that was perplexing to you? What,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't-
Which part do you think was not conditional
I mean, I know we came back from it, we recovered from it, but at the end of season 1, his love is very unconditional. It's, I only love you if you're Blackbeard. I don't love you if you're Ed.
I don't think that so that was something that I thought at the very beginning of watching the show before I really got into Izzy, was like, yes, he loves Blackbeard. He doesn't love Ed. I think that Blackbeard in Izzy's mind is a existence that needs to happen for Ed to survive. So and anything that he does regarding making Ed be Blackbeard or making him, like in episode 4, we need to have a plan. What are we doing? We need to, like all this stuff that he's doing is just management of Ed's life so that he doesn't die. And especially when he sees like emotions and love and sadness are all weaknesses to him. So in episode 10 of season 1, when Ed is being mopey and singing and doing talent shows and stuff, that will get him killed. So Izzy needs to bring back the pirate so that he can survive and that they can continue doing what they're doing and not die.
It's kind of like when you see your badass girlfriend suddenly like dyeing her hair blonde and wearing like pink little dresses to try and impress a dude. And you're like, what happened? You used to be such a badass. And now you're wearing these little pink dresses and you're trying to impress a dude. What?
Ed was just about to cut his own bangs and Izzy stopped him.
First
Right.
of all, I
We
cut
should all
my
be
own
very
bangs all the
grateful for
time.
that.
And that's great for you, but that doesn't work out for everybody.
I really like the perspective that Izzy was acting out of like protection for Ed and like the rest of the crew,
And that's it. It's not just Ed. It is the whole crew. It is one entity. That is Izzy's job. And, while he'll do damn near anything for Ed, it comes to the point at the beginning of season 2 where like they're all going to die now. So he has to, but he still can't, like, he doesn't take that one step. He could have shot Ed, but he can't do that. He can't bring himself to do that.
Right. I really like that idea that's why Izzy's acting the way that he is. I do think though, that part of like the inherent like fabric of Izzy's character is that he takes that too far, right? And he does get to a point where whenever he sees aspects of Ed show up in the Blackbeard, that warning bells go off and he starts to think we're all going to die.
Like overcorrecting.
And exactly. So he's, it's on some level, yes, his love for Blackbeard is contingent upon like a manageable amount of Ed showing up. So like, yeah, Blackbeard's allowed to be a little bit eccentric. He's allowed to be unpredictable, but that's not the same as, you know, letting Ed out of the box. Ed always has to be contained. And that I like to think of Izzy as Ed's handler, not Blackbeard's first mate.
There's a lot of good fanfics where they were together on Hornigold's ship or whatever, and Ed puts on the Blackbeard mask to mutiny and get away from an abusive situation. And so literally Blackbeard is what has saved Ed's life and what will continue to save his life, regardless of whatever Ed does on his own. Blackbeard is what saves them. And from Hornigold, from other pirates, from whatever, you know, Blackbeard is what actually does the job and keeps them alive. So that's why Izzy needs to keep bringing him back. Now in season 2, we get, you know, Izzy's learning that, I guess sometimes if you have emotions, you might not die, which sounds wrong. But, you know, Steed, and he says, like, I don't know why you're not dead. And like, nobody else can figure that out either. But clearly what was happening with Blackbeard at the end wasn't working either. So.
Okay. All right. I'm open to this. This has made me think of some things differently. Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, I definitely was where you were at the beginning. Like when I first watched the show, is like, oh, Izzy, you know, Izzy's the one that totally broke him, and he can't handle Ed. He can only handle Blackbeard. But it's not that at all, because, you know, he would have, if that was the case, as soon as Ed was showing anything for Steed, he would have like jumped, you know,
since we only have 14 minutes left, we do want to address the fact that the Blue Sky fan fiction suddenly came to an end without a conclusion 5 days ago now.
A cliffhanger.
And why do you think David hasn't updated his fan fiction?
And also, a secondary question to that is, why is it on Blue Sky where he only has 5,000 followers and not Instagram where he has 48,000 followers?
It's harder to post.
Yeah, it's harder to post on Instagram. But
you could post the link from Instagram to Blue Sky. He did not do that.
Well, he knew we would. He knew we'd.
Yeah, I mean,
but I still feel like for the casual fan, right, who follows him on Instagram, is like, you know, oh, I like this show a lot, I'll follow the creator. Like, not even everyone's on Blue Sky. Like, to me, it feels like, what was the intention of putting this out here, ending it on a cliffhanger, but only putting it out in like a space where only some people would see it?
I think you're thinking too much about David's thinking process. I mean, you go for it, but I really think this was just like, I'm going to write some stuff. And then he had more time and wrote some more stuff. And then he got busy because he's a baby. And I think Blue Sky is like easier to write on than Instagram. And that's literally all there was to it, you know, but I don't think that he's done. I think he's going to continue when he's got more time and ideas.
My thinking on it is, he started this, I remember reading the very, very first post on this on Christmas Eve. So it kind of just felt like a little gift to the fandom. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it ended 5 days ago, which is right around New Year's Eve, you know, it kind of works for me. It kind of feels like, here's a holiday present for you guys. Like, here you go, fandom. I love you. And he's always been very good about being extremely kind to the fans. And I think that maybe that has something to do with it as well.
How close do you think it is to the actual season 3?
That answer depends on if you think you're getting a season 3 or not. Because if we're not ever getting a season 3, then it could be exactly what season 3 was going to be.
Okay, I'm going to ask you all a question on a scale of 1 to 1 is season 3 is not happening. 10 is season 3 is happening eventually. Where is everyone on the scale?
5.
Yeah, I'm also a 5. Here's the thing. I would rather have 2 seasons of something beautiful than have 2 seasons of something beautiful and then a half-done, half-baked season 3 just because we wanted it. You know, I've seen some other like TV shows. One of the better examples is Leverage, which was one of my favorite shows. And they have like a sequel show now. So it's Leverage Redemption. And it's fine. It's okay. But there are definitely some elements that have like changed since the original show. And when you have different, writers and producers involved, and you have, different cast members, the chemistry is going to be different. Some of those things are really ephemeral, and it's hard to recreate that. I want season 3, sure, but I would rather have seasons 1 and 2 and then fan fiction forever and ever and make it really good rather than, kind of trying to shoehorn in a season 3 when, the actors have different schedules and different projects and other obligations now. David's not the only one who's had a kid since season 2. Samba may or may not be available. Nathan's always booked and busy, right?
Samba's work. Samba has a lot of things out right now, honestly.
Yeah, he has been working a bunch.
And I didn't get your scale, 1 to 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm like a 3.
Okay, I guess I'm the only one. I'm like 10. There's going to be a season 3 eventually.
I love that for you, and I support you 100%.
This is why I always have my clown now standing by. Okay, now where is everyone on how close this fan fiction is to the actual season 3? Andrea.
I'm gonna say
1 being no similarity, 10 being like it's the exact same thing.
I'm gonna say maybe a 6 because I feel like 2 years is not the time jump that he alluded to. I think he alluded to a longer time jump.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll say a 6. I'm sure there's a lot of elements of it, but some things are different.
What about you, Ringa?
I'm also in the middle. I feel like I don't think that he would put out something so similar if he thought there was any chance of a season 3, but he knows more than we do about it. So who knows? I just feel like it wouldn't be so, I feel like he would do something more official with it if it was very close to what season 3 is. If he thought we were never going to get a season 3 and he wanted to put out like the script for it, he would do something a little bit different than just randomly posting bits. Mm-hmm. So I think he's got like some stuff is similar, but it's not like exact.
And Rue?
I would say, I think it's probably, Andrea, we are right on like the same wavelength here. I think a 6. There are definitely some elements that I could see him wanting to bring in, but then changing some of them as well. Keep in mind too, the opening of an episode and what you can get in, a Blue Sky post is going to be, really truncated, right? So
I must say, as soon as you said there's going to be a more significant time jump in season 3, I was like, I'm like, you're right. There is going to be. That's why I think this is like, there's elements, but I think this is like a 4 or 5 as far as like how similar it is to the actual season 3. Like,
is it a fan fiction if the showrunner writes it? What's the definition of this piece, this art?
I think no, as long as some of it makes it into the show. But until
it's a Schrodinger's fan fiction. It's fan fiction as long as it doesn't become reality.
It's a spec script right now, is what it is. He's writing a spec script for his own show.
Yeah. I mean, I do know of some writers like showrunners and such who have written on AO3 for their own content. And I would consider that to be like very obviously fan fiction. Like, it's not canon. They're hiding their username, all that good stuff. Just because David's posting it under his own name on Blue Sky, I don't think it makes it different. I'm okay with it being fan fiction. I think fan fiction is lovely and wonderful, and I don't see any problems with it, having that label.
Fascinating. Oh my gosh. Have we talked about this enough? Should we talk about other than David Jenkins?
Well, you said we could do the whole hour just on this thing, and we did.
Probably do way more, because we didn't even talk about like Jim and Frenchie.
Yeah, exactly.
On the revenge.
We have.
Okay, Andrea is flailing around. Andrea, what are your Jim and Frenchie?
It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And again, I am not the Izzy level y'all are at, but I do have a great love for the character, and like Jim dressing as Izzy, I was like, oh, I'm gonna cry. Here I go.
Yeah. Right, because we see Jim with Izzy's glove in season 2 at the end. But yeah, to have the more, I think what what he wrote about just the Revenge Crew could have been its own like separate fanfic episode, a filler episode, a total like this has no bearing on season 3 whatsoever. But the fact that he added so much of what's going on with that and Seed is where it gets weird for me, because I don't know, like this seems important for going forward in season 3. So, but yeah, the revenge stuff could be just on its own, but he's really writing this probably because he's used to it in more of a form of a TV show where he's jumping back and forth between the, the A line and the B line of the story.
I love that they are still on their way to get Ricky. Because,
get Ricky.
His comeuppance.
Right. But yeah, we're the Gay Pirate News Hour-ish, as we have decided a couple months ago. It's not necessarily an hour, it's an hour-ish.
I told Rue that we would only be an hour.
That's a lie. Don't believe that.
That's when I'm going to have to go. But you guys are welcome to stay as long as you feel like you want to.
Okay, Rhys.
We have a whole list.
I'm gonna blow through this list. Rhys is in New Zealand with family for the holidays, and he's going into cold water, which makes me so violently angry. People do not belong in water, much less cold water. But he is a Pisces.
I love being in water, but I don't want it to be cold.
The water needs to be like at least 90 degrees for me to even think about it. Like it needs to be hot.
That's too hot. But okay. Yeah, you do that.
I had a conversation with somebody just earlier today about taking like those ice baths after a
this is illegal
or whatever.
No.
Yeah, and I was just like, bleh. Like the idea of doing that, I don't care how much I want my gains to be. I'm not getting in cold water.
Wait, Rue, are you me? Because I also was just talking to someone about cold baths after exercise like 2 days ago.
Get out of my brain, Andrea.
I was actually just reading about smallpox in Los Angeles in the 19th century, and people would do cold plunges to try and defeat smallpox, and they all died. So,
oh my gosh.
Don't do that. You will die faster.
I'm not going to. That's not my plan.
I hate cold water so much with a passion. It makes me so violently angry.
Oh, did you watch that Christmas yet, Carly?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay, so this is a minor spoiler, but at the end of the movie, they all do a polar plunge where they go into fucking cold water.
You're agreeing for you. You can't watch it.
But the thing is, they all just get in the water and just like stay there and are playing in it. And I'm like, that is not the point of a polar plunge. You're supposed to get in and get back out.
Yeah. So Rhys is in New Zealand with his family. He will be performing in San Francisco in like really soon, like next week, like January 17th to 18th.
That is not next week.
Yeah, I don't know days and math.
Stop. Everything's moving too fast as it is. Don't give away weeks.
And then he'll be in Austin and North Carolina and New York and Philadelphia. Is Philadelphia close to Pittsburgh?
No.
Okay. I don't know.
It's like 6 hours away.
Okay.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is long.
And the Bad Jelly cartoon is out. So check that out.
He seems very excited about that.
And Taika was in New York City with Rita as she hosted the New York New Year's Eve thing. I didn't watch it. I hope anyone know. Okay. But good for them. He shared some Christmas photos and a free foot pic, which was fun. And Con O'Neill, Ringa, I'll give you the Con O'Neill news.
He posted a thirst trap on New Year's Eve. Everyone is into armpits now, if they weren't before. And he his show SAS Rogue Heroes, it's the second season. Was not in the first season, but it has just come out on New Year's Day and is now available on the BBC app and all the good BBC stuff. Yeah. So he's in episodes 5 and 6 of that. He's very cute and very little. He's got all these tall army guys around him, and he's just a little guy. And he finished, I think, in November filming on a movie called Pressure that is now like on IMDb. So it's another like war thing. I'm like making me watch all these war things. I am not into that, but watch them anyway. I think maybe that's all the news for now from Con.
Christian is appearing at MegaCon Dublin, January 18th to 19th. So next week, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Could be next week. Could be, 3 months from now. We don't know.
Nathan's birthday was on the 29th. So next week.
Last week. 2 days ago.
December 29th.
You're trying so hard, Carly.
And Vico is doing a daily gay podcast. Have you guys listened to it?
I
have.
I watched some of the videos, but I haven't listened to the podcast. It's not available in my thing that I listen to podcasts on.
What do you listen on? Because it's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify.
Oh, no. I use this totally random thing called Podcast Addict, but it's really good about like all my bookmarks and saving things and putting things in orders I like. So that's why I use that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll email them because maybe they need to just.
I think it was too new and it's going to pop up in a minute.
Yeah, that's typically.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so
the videos
excited.
are adorable. I love them.
And it's very like short. It's like 30 minutes. So it's like a nice little daily little gay podcast to have in the background to hear their banter and their interactions.
Yeah.
And Madeline Sammy wrapped filming for season 2 of Deadlock. That should be fantastic.
Y'all have not watched Deadlock, you need to. It is so good.
It's great.
So good. So funny, so amazing, so good. And Madeline Sammy is queen of my heart forever.
I know. And it's one of the shows as you're watching it, you're like, I can't believe the show got made.
I know.
It's like the most lesbian show ever. And you're like, wow, it's very woman centric. It's very lesbian. It's like, how did this get made? Good on whoever happened to make that happen, because excellent work. Keep doing that more. Damien Jard is now only on Blue Sky and Instagram. Dominic Burgess is traveling to England and France and sharing lots of pics. Rubo just turned 42.
Yay, happy birthday, Rhys.
That's the secret of the universe right there.
It is. And I'm going to be 42 in like 3 weeks, not 1 week.
You can tell us the secrets to the universe and everything.
I was
would
that
love
last
to.
year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It was the strike. It was fun. It was the strike.
It was the strike.
It was the strike.
I mean, I got my job that I love, and
That's
my words
very
got
good.
famous.
Yeah. That's
So-
great.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
And I did the podcast thing. I started this little
Yeah.
True.
that sounds like a
Big
pretty
year.
freaking
Okay,
good
so
year.
Big expectations for you, Ringo.
thing. Yeah.
Well, Carly already told me that this coming year will be very fruitful for me.
That's right.
I
It's
mean,
your famous era coming
It
up.
is. I just posted, this is so funny, like 2 days ago, a video on Instagram about Walmart plushies, and it is like in like a day and a half it has like an insane amount of views, and I'm like, what happened here?
That's amazing.
It has right now 99,000 views
Oh my
on
God.
Instagram, and I'm just like, okay, like it is now my most popular reel ever, so
Wow.
it's starting.
Do more of that. Yeah.
Perhaps I shall.
I got to make more reels. That's my one thing I don't
I'm
do.
so
enough
bad
of.
at it. Yeah, I'm so bad at remembering to do that stuff.
Lots of BTS and info from Lindsay Cantrell, who's a set decorator, via OFMD Buys Boats. So check out OFMD Buys Boats for that background behind the scenes content. And
Yes.
OFMD GalaxyCon Columbus panel is on YouTube now. So watch that panel.
Would you like me to do the upcoming fandom events?
Yes,
Thing
Ringa, tell
now?
us the fandom news and
Okay,
events.
so we have going on through today. So today is the last day for it, is Jack Off Week. Speaking of
Which
Jack.
is appropriate because now we
yeah.
have Applejack and Calico Jack, and they can jack off together.
Yeah, exactly. So it was going on from last week through now. It is on, everything's on Blue Sky. I have switched over all my everythings. We're on Blue Sky now. So unless I say otherwise, this is all on Blue Sky. It is Jack Off Week, but it is spelled JASCKOFF Week. So there's an S in the middle of Jack, because probably
Okay.
Jack Off Week is a thing other places too, I would imagine. But yeah, so you can go on there and see some good stuff about Jack and what he's jacking off to. We are on day 4 of January. That is January. So their handle on Blue Sky is actually OFMD OFMD mounts, because everything they do is about AUs. So they're going to stick the letters AU into anywhere there's a vowel. And let's see, there's a whole like set of prompts. Today's prompts are reality TV, ghost, or fan artist / podficker. So there you go. You could make a ghost Izzy / Calico Jack thing and have a whole AU jack off week going. So OFMD reverse Big Bang was a thing that they thought might end as of last year because the people who were running it were not able to continue running it, but it has a new set of mods. So they are at OFMD Reverse Big Bang on Blue Sky, and their artist signups are going to be January 13th with writers signups on February 1st. Does everyone know what a Big Bang and Reverse Big Bang is?
Give us an explanation.
So a Big Bang is where writers will write a fanfic and then artists will claim the fanfic and make art for it. And a reverse Big Bang is where the artists make the art first and then writers claim the art and write a fanfic around it. So this is for the reverse Big Bang. So the art will go up first. When everything's released, the writers will like put in their like top 5 picks, and then whoever gets in first gets to it's very exciting, and lots of good art and fics come out of it. So that's again artist signups on January 13th. January 20th through 26th it's a Sprizzy Sugar and Spice week. So it's Lucius and Izzy Sugar and Spice. I don't really know what that entails, but it's on XOXO Sprizzy on Blue Sky, January 20th through 26th. Then coming up in February, we have the first week of February is 3 big things. OFMD Disney Week, which is OFMD Disney Week on Blue Sky. OFMD Omegaverse Week, which is, that's wrong, OFMD Omegaverse. And OFMD Rare Ship Week. And that one is FMD Rare Ships. So those are 3 big weeks that you can make your fanfics and arts like coexist with each other, but go check all those out on Blue Sky and you'll see prompts and different things for the days and bingo cards and all that good stuff. The other couple things is the Tiny Crew Big Raffles people who brought us little boats. They are at OFMD Buys Boats on Blue Sky and on Instagram and on Facebook too, I believe. They have announced that they're going to do another auction this year. That they have been approached by a member of OFMD Season 2 crew and have a new Season 2 prop to auction off. So right now what they're doing on their Blue Sky is asking for people to vote for which month they would prefer to have this auction. So you can go over there and see. They're having people guess what they think the prop is, but apparently it's recognizable but obscure enough that they don't think anyone will guess. So interesting. And then we have 2 fan-run OFMD conventions that are being produced, started, talked about. One is going to be a Canyon convention called For the New Unicon.
Very cute.
That one's going to be later in the year, and they're not sure what city it is. They want to do it somewhere in the middle. So like Chicago or somewhere like not on either coast, but it's going to be all Canyon Izzy stuff. And then the other one's called CalypsoCon, and it's a general thing, and it's going to be in Columbus. But again, not sure on dates. But these are both fan-run conventions, and so we all remember DashCon. That's not to say that these will be anything like that.
Wait, what's DashCon? I have no knowledge of what happened at DashCon.
What is DashCon? Oh,
no, give us the too long didn't read.
Oh my God. It was a Tumblr-based fan-run convention that was so bad. They didn't have like any of the things they promised they would have. And like the big attraction was this ball pit that was like in the middle of a ballroom basically, and it was not that big. And for anything that they didn't do right or didn't have that they said they were going to have, and someone that pointed it out would get an extra like hour in the ball pit as a concession. And so if you ever see memes about the ball pit,
I missed this
drama. It was in like 2014. It was just very sad. Like they weren't paying any of the people that like they had very few celebrity types, but they had like the entire cast of the Welcome to Night Vale podcast, and they canceled before they even got to perform there because none of the contracts were being honored, and it was just a mess.
Oh,
but
wow.
I feel like we all learned a lot from that, and there have definitely been successful and fun fan run conventions. So I mean, if I get together with other people that I know in the fandom and hang out in a ball pit, that's pretty cool. I think it was because it was a Tumblr convention general, that's huge. So that could be anybody. But this fandom, a lot of people know each other and are friends, and I think we have the ability to make it fun no matter what. But I do hope they have a ball pit, because that's
okay. And wrapping things up for today, because Rue was supposed to get out of here 15 minutes ago. And you can check out anytime if you want. But Bizarre Little Mew on Blue Sky posted a AO3 Wrapped for 2024, which has data about OFMD fan fiction on AO3. And so it looks like we've written a total of 75 million words, and 95% were in English. Almost 3%, 229 were crossovers. And the most popular fandoms were Our Flag Means Death.
Woo!
RFP, Real Person Fix, was number 2. And Good Omens was number 1. I don't know why I read this out of order. The 2 was circled, so I felt like reading that first. And then the 3rd was What We Do in the Shadows. The 4th was the Good Omens book. And the 5th was Black Sails.
Oh,
the most popular rating was explicit. The most popular category was M/M with 7,004.
Sorry, that was me. I sent you a picture of the DashCon ball pit in your Instagram
while I'm recording a live, so that it will.
Why is your notifications on?
I think to turn them off. I'm not popular. It never pings. Okay. The most popular tagged character was Edward Teach, followed closely by Steed Bonnet. And in 3rd place was Izzy. And then number 4 was Lucius. Number 5 was Jim. Number 6 was The Crew of the Revenge. Number 7 was Frenchie. Number 8 was Fang. Number 9 was Oluwande. And number 10, any guesses?
Jack?
No, it was
Jack.
Pete.
Oh,
It was
Pete.
Pete.
Just Jack is so. I'm not a fan of Calico Jack in the show, but he is so popular with fanfic.
We have a Zhang episode coming up next week, and there's not enough Zhang fics. So you guys,
and
there's also the female characters don't get much fic wise. So get on that, y'all.
Get on it.
Overall, the most popular relationship was Ed and Steed, of course. Number 2, any guesses?
Steady hands.
It was Ed Izzy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like canon. They're both like canon, which is why, you know, but.
Number 3 was Steed and Izzy. Mm-hmm. And you know what number 4 was?
Sprizzy?
No, finally Steady Hands. So Steady Hands came in number 4.
Oh, okay.
And then number 5 was Sprizzy. And number 6.
How Izzy is in 4 of the 5 of the top shit.
I know.
Hey, my man's getting laid.
Number 6 was Lupite. Number 7 was Frenchie and Izzy. Number 8 is
called Wheezy. Like Wheezy. We like the French word for yes.
Like wee wee.
Say wee wee.
Wheezy. Yeah, get
That's
it?
Very funny.
Number 8 was CJ Izzy.
It's pronounced C Jizzy.
Oh, I like to pronounce it CJ Izzy.
No.
It's like, I know, because it's not as fun. Number 9 is Oluwande and Jim, or Teal Oranges. Mm-hmm. And number 10 was Ed and Izzy, but number 2 was Ed and Izzy. So I think it's just the ampersand, people who use the ampersand.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, the ampersand, it means something different. So ampersand means just like it's a platonic relationship.
Oh, really?
The slash is a romantic relationship, and the ampersand is just like just a personal relationship.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Actually, so we're learning things about fan fiction.
I'm learning things.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Podfics were a huge old thing. May was the biggest month for podfics. Most podfics are between 10 and 20 minutes. There's 142. Then the next most popular is 0 to 10 minutes. There's 102 of those made in 2024. And 20 to 30 minutes is next, and there's 67 of those. And
I want the many, many hours of podfics.
Yeah, that must be broken down into chapters because
I want the big long ones that I can just listen to while I'm driving on many, many miles of trips.
And you guys, if you have any podfics that you would like to be on this podcast, send them in to ourflagmeansfanfiction@gmail.com. And we have no gatekeeping here. You send it in, we put it up on the podcast. I'll make a little intro for it. And
I'm going to read a podfic all about Pop Pop.
Okay, do it.
And you're like, yes, I don't care. I'll do it.
And send us any length that you want. We don't care. If you do 5 minutes, then I'll put it in a compilation with other podfics. And just get the author's permission first. That's the only thing. And then you have to actually send us an MP3 file. Don't send me a link to a link because then I can't download it and put it on the podcast. I still have to get the actual MP3 file, send that in, and we'll put you up on the podcast.
I did it last month. It was easy and really fun.
Easy and fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can record it into your phone if you want.
Can I mention the letter writing campaign? Because it's supposed to be this week. You want to send letters this week so that they arrive at Netflix the week of January 5th. So I want to send right now.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So you guys write your Netflix letters, send it to Netflix.
Postcards.
Yeah.
Notes. Anything.
Yeah. Do that. In the chat, let's see. I'm sorry. I ignored and abandoned the chat people, but Rigby says, hi, friends. And I love that idea, possibly referring to me saying that Will Arnett should play both it's not Captain Jack. Oh my God.
Captain Jack.
Will Arnett should play Applejack.
Mm-hmm.
And then Applejack is Calico Jack with a head injury. And he doesn't remember. He has amnesia and he has no facial hair. And I love that. Someone write that. David Jenkins wanted us to follow him on Threads, but no one uses Threads, Mr. Button says. Nicole M says, ha ha ha, I hate the ice water craze. I hate it. I get violently angry seeing people choosing to be cold. Nicole M says, and Austin too. I can't wait to see him in February, probably referring to Rhys and Austin. Rigby says that thirst trap, that was referring to New Year's Eve. Con posting naked armpit picture. Men attracted people enjoyed that. Little old me says that
honestly, Con and Vico are both they transcend the boundaries of what genders people are attracted to.
Yeah.
I feel like for both of them, it's like if you're human, you're going to find them attractive.
Here's the thing. I am not attracted to men's naked bodies. Men with clothes on, dressed really nice. I like faces. I like hair. I like clothes. I appreciate that Con made a lot of people happy.
With Con too, it's like if you're not into body hair, he's not going to be for you. But he's very, very hairy.
I enjoy Con's personality, and I appreciate when he wears an outfit.
And that's attractive too, his personality, yes.
And I just want to make sure this podcast is representing the ace voice.
Oh, of course. Of course. But I know ace people that are like, I am not attracted to anybody, but that's good.
There's one human.
Yeah, and a lot of people who aren't attracted to men typically, who are like, okay, but yeah. I heard the tattoo artist at Columbus at GalaxyCon who was doing people's autograph tattoo packages, who was a very, very straight man, was like, so Con O'Neill. Yeah.
Oh.
That's what he does.
I love when very, very straight people are just open up their minds.
It's like, I'm straight, but I got eyes.
Okay. Little me says that pick Con knows what we want. Rigby says here for Omegaverse week, LOL. Mr. Button says the ball pit. Gosh, I'm really behind on all these responses. Rigby says polar bear, yes. Oh no, the polar bear is just part of your. Let's wrap things
Carly, up. Open the Instagram chat so you can see the DashCon pic live. before we close this.
Yeah, need a live reaction to the ball pit.
Ball pit.
It's on the
Has
Instagram.
been sent to me.
Yeah. So if you didn't get an autograph that you were promised, you got an extra hour in that ball pit.
How wonderful.
It's like, so this con is basically like an empty warehouse with
It was in a hotel, and that was like one of the rooms they had. But the hotel was about to kick them out like on Saturday night because they hadn't paid like the entire thing, and they had to like crowdfund live on Tumblr while they were there to keep the rest of the hotel. Like,
yeah, event planning is kind of complicated. You have to like be
it is. But yeah, like 3 people can fit in this ball pit, maybe.
It's like a kiddie pool, basically.
It is. It's a kiddie pool with some balls in it.
With some balls in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is where we will wrap up our Flag Means Fanfiction's Gay Pirate News Hour for January 2025.
Yeah.
Unless anyone has any questions or comments, I'm going to check the chat one more time.
I'm just going to add that next month, assuming that I'm allowed to come back, I will be in New Zealand. I will be visiting filming locations.
Oh gosh, yes, you said that.
Oh my God. You need to do like a video diary that we can like share and yeah.
So amazing. Andrea will be coming live from New Zealand, and we found the Shipwreck Trading Company store in Wellington.
We added it to the list of places we're going. We're going.
It's still selling Our Flag Means Death props. So if anyone is planning on going to New Zealand, you can go to that store and you can buy props from Our Flag Means Death. So do that. And awesome. I don't know if Andrea, if you see something small, since you live in LA, like I might Venmo you some money.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll FaceTime you from there and show you what's going on.
Yeah, something small that you can like put in your bag, and that isn't going to be a big deal. Yeah. Big. Yeah, and then I'll Venmo you for however much it costs, and then maybe also the trafficking fee that you charge to be a mule across the border into California.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I'm very excited, and gonna see a lot of our flag things and Lord of the Rings things because you can't go there and do that.
Yeah, and Chloe is also going to New Zealand too. So we have to find out when Chloe's going, but that's going to be really cool for everyone going.
And I'm going to toss this in real quick before we go. So aside from Christian's booked at a couple of conventions, nobody is booked at like big conventions so far yet this year. And they don't call places and say, hey, we want to do your convention. Conventions have to reach out to them for the most part, to their agents to book them. So what everyone wants you to do, including Con has asked that we do, is to go onto the GalaxyCon websites. And what you have to do is go to galaxycon.com and click one of the show cities. So there's like 7 different cities that it happens in. Click on any of the show cities, scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and there's a thing that says, what guests would you like to see at our show? And you can put in Con O'Neill or Nathan Fote or all of them, and then go do that for all the cities, because the more interest that we show in having them at conventions, the more likely conventions are to reach out to them. So if everyone has like time where they're just doing nothing scrolling, go do that on the GalaxyCon website. You can do that to any convention. You can request people at almost every convention's websites, but GalaxyCon, because they just had them recently, are likely to pick them up again if we request them.
Awesome. This is really good information thank you, Ringa. So do that. Do what Ringa just said. And this is the end of Gay Pirate News Hour. Definitely follow us on Instagram at Our Flag Means Fanfiction, and Blue Sky at Our Flag Means Fanfiction Podcast, I think. And follow the podcast, Our Flag Means Fanfiction, wherever you get your podcasts. Any final words?
Congratulations on 50 episodes of Our Flag Means Fanfiction.
This is now 51, I believe. And this is actually coming up next week is the 1-year anniversary of this podcast. Ooh. So that's really fun.
Been doing an episode every week for a year, and that's impressive. So congratulations, Carly, on putting this together. I know you're like, it's not my podcast. It's all of our podcasts, but it's your podcast. So thank you. Thank you.
You're amazing.
But I am acknowledging that I can't keep doing this every week. So you can alleviate some of the burden by being a host or co-host on here. You can get your friends together and like host an episode on your own, and then, get a Zoom session like this going, host an episode with your friends, send it in to me. I will edit it and I'll put it up. That way, other people are doing the planning and the hosting and all that, and it's not all on my shoulders. If, of course, and you can also just email me, message me, and be like, hey, I want to be on the podcast. That helps too, because the more people who are talking on this thing, then the less work I have to do. So it's been fun, guys. Do creations, be cringe, commit crime. Bye.
Bye-bye.